Tony. He's Mike, and we are here to do a quick and dirty review on 1974's Phantom of the Paradise.
20th Century Fox presents Phantom of the Paradise, a gothic horror story.
What was that?
We're doing this as kind of a follow-up to Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, but I gotta be honest, not a fan.
I figured as soon as I saw the words written and directed by Brian DePalma, I'm like, yeah, I know how this is gonna play out. I'm gonna absolutely love it, which I do. Tony's gonna hate it. 2 minutes of savaging, go.
No. It's, I don't need to savage this. I'm just gonna say this. This is obviously very early in De Palma's career, and he's trying to prove how clever he is with all of his references to Faust and the Phantom of the Opera, and he's tying it all together and all that. But the biggest problem with this film is his lack of editing himself. Because, like, there are musical numbers that just go on and on and on and on, and it's like, okay, I realize that you got Paul Williams to, like, write all this music for your movie, but shit, man, how about a montage? How about you, like, throw some visuals at us? How about you shoot from multiple camera angles and give us something a little bit more interesting? Because a lot of this actually watches like somebody shot their kid's high school play. And especially, the whole bit where they're actually doing the big performance. And that was the most interesting portion of this, was the big performance. And it's not that I can't appreciate the music. It's not that I even minded the music. But after a certain point, it just seems really pretentious. And that's my big problem with this one. It has nothing to do, like Paul Williams, he is 100% on board. He is completely invested in his character.
Totally.
Winslow, what a foolish thing to do. Didn't you read your contract closely? See what it says, terms of agreement? Can you read what it says?
100% on board.
But the guy that played the main character, the Phantom, he's fucking terrible. He's a horrible actor, and he was annoying, and his dialogue became so repetitive.
Phoenix.
Try it again.
Phoenix.
And again.
Phoenix.
Like, he would literally say the same thing to just a different person over and over and over again. And there are ways to edit around it, or at the very least, write it different, because nobody talks like that. So
yeah, it's very exaggerated. It's to me, it comes across kind of almost like a fairy tale of sorts.
A bit. I get that.
But again, taking its in context, where he drew inspiration from. Like I said, those old literary works. But I just love the scathing indictment of the music industry. Yeah. I mean, he savages the music industry so bad. Yeah. I mean, and he gets a lot of it, right? Like with the harem at the beginning, waiting to meet Swan.
Yes.
Yes. So you got that. You got his A&R guy, Philbin, that just manipulates everybody and just outright threatens motherfuckers to get him to do what he needs to do.
I got her singing lessons. I taught her how to dress. I got her a first club job, and I paid off a columnist. He did a beautiful story on her. I taught her who to be nice to, who to fed her the drugs to get her through the road tours. I made her record a hit.
The stealing of music from unknowns, just wholesale.
Yeah. Why don't you give me the music? Swan will take a look at it on the plane, and we'll get right back to you. But if you ask me, I think we're going to produce your first album.
The contracts where you're basically selling your fucking soul wholesale.
Yes, and signing in blood. And signing in blood, yes.
Ink isn't worth anything to me, Winslow. No sign.
And then the band, the Juicy Fruits. I love watching their career and how they get repackaged, where they start as the Juicy Fruits and then they become like the Beach Bums or something like that. And then at the end they become the Undead, the shock rock group at the end.
I really liked that part of it. And the other thing is, this movie reminded me that, like, in the late 70s, mid and late 70s, that there was a big nostalgia wave. And a lot of people forget about that because it gets lost in disco. And the fact of the matter is that Sha Na Na, which was a huge 50s doo-wop nostalgia band, they were literally on TV every week. It was a huge show for a long time, and they had this whole big stage show where they would do all that. And so it was nice to actually see that acknowledged, that 70s wasn't not this disco monolith or arena rock, that there was a lot more musically going on in that. So that part I actually really enjoyed. And I did really appreciate the repackaging of, you know, we have these three guys and they're talented and we're going to present them like this. Okay, that didn't take. We're going to chase trends and do this. That was the other thing that I did appreciate, is that they did actually demonstrate really well the trend chasing that goes on for a lot of musicians and musical acts, especially ones that don't have their own distinct voice, so to speak. The ones that are more or less label creations. Yeah. And that's who the Juicy Fruits were. But I will also, the best part of this movie is Beef.
Yes, thank you. Do you recognize Beef?
I do, but I don't know where from. I
Used cars. Okay. He's Jeff in Used Cars.
Okay, there you go. So that makes perfect. I know he's a character actor. I know he's been in a million things. I just did not immediately pick up because he's so damn young in this. Yes. but Beef is great, and all the bits with him on it were really interesting.
Man, you better get yourself a castrato for this, because it's a little out of my range.
But Phoenix, she's supposed to be the main character, and, like, I hated her by the end of this film, and I wasn't supposed to.
I think you were, though, because I think it's demonstrating the effect the music industry has on people, you know. At first, you know, she's kind of like this pure thing, and then as soon as she gets the first taste of success, like, just she turns on a fucking dime, becomes a fucking diva.
I owe you everything. Just give me that crowd again.
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night they'll be yours.
Yes, and a corrupted diva. She is willing to sell as much of her soul as possible. But I'm going to say, this is like one of those movies that I can appreciate it for what it is. I don't like it, but I can appreciate it for what it is. I see the artistry in it, and I see the attention and the craft. I looked up reviews from the period, from the time, and it was kind of a mixed bag. Yeah. But I get why it's a mixed bag, because if you can go with the surrealist visuals, and you can kind of get to the meat and potatoes of it, there is a story here. There are interesting characters here, but it's just so long-winded. This movie it needs either one of two things. It either needs a rewrite and a recast of that lead actor, because it's really hard to be sympathetic to him because he's just kind of creepy and weird. Yeah. And then on top of all that, it needs an editor. It needs somebody to go in and chop down the repetitive crap. There is something here. I can see it for what it is. I can appreciate it for what it is. Did I enjoy it? No, because it was over long.
And that's the funny thing. It's not long at all. It's only like maybe an hour and 45 minutes?
Yeah, probably. But it feels longer than it is. And I know that for a fact. That it most I'm like looking at it going, really? It's like, when is this going to be over?
Here's the interesting thing for me is like, how much influence did this have in the Rocky Horror Picture Show? Because the play came out roughly at the same time this movie was released.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then Rocky Horror, the movie came out, because there's a lot of similarities there.
Sure, sure. And I see them. I see it all over this.
Because again, this thing, like you said, is shot very much like a play.
Yeah.
Like you're watching a play. But then also see what influenced it too, because there's a lot of things here that remind me of like Kubrick, and like the way Clockwork Orange was shot.
A little bit.
And how some of, you can see some Kubrick influences in
there. I'm not going to say Kubrick. I'm going to say Jodorowsky. Who did he did a lot of 70s midnight cinemas, like movies that were only played very late night because they were not made for mainstream, and they were also very surrealist. So there was a trend cinema-wise in this, and Brian DePalma was jumping on that trend at this particular point, and it's very obvious who his influences were. I get where you're thinking, like with A Clockwork Orange, definitely, but that was Kubrick being influenced by that whole thing as well, and him doing his own take. And this is not Brian DePalma's shtick, but I could definitely see where Paul Williams would be attracted to a project like this and why he would be like, let me write all this and I'll do all this music and all that.
I dug the music. Not every song hit, but the ones that hit for me hit really well.
Yeah.
And I love every single Juicy Fruit performance,
Yes.
whether it's Juicy Fruits or the Beach Bums or the Undeads. Their Undeads performance was
Oh, it was great. It really was.
Holy crap,
It
that
really
was so
was.
good.
I would love to see that performance in a seat in that theater. I don't want to see this like really weirdly shot version of it. That all being said, the Undeads, best part of this movie. No, Beef is the best part of this movie. Then followed by the Undeads. Phoenix is kind of a really annoying part of this.
Let's talk about Beef, because we mentioned Beef, but we didn't actually get into why we like Beef.
Because Beef is just, he's so freaking over the top, and like everything about him is just batshit crazy, but in the most entertaining and fun way. And he's so full of himself, but also not really, because he's just kind of like, yeah, there's some dude haunting your theater, I'm out.
Now, if I don't want to do a show, it's not because I got stage fright. It's because some creature from beyond doesn't want me to do the show. Now, gangway!
I'm gone, man. I'm going, no, you got a contract. That's nice. You can send it to me at my mother's in Cleveland. There's some great stuff there.
But I love how they do that, how like, you know, you find like gay men and then repackage them as like these masculine rock star gods and throw them out there when they're nothing like that. But yet that's what happened all the time in the 70s.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
Look at you know, Rob Halford from Judas Priest. Which is even like probably right at that same time when this was happening.
Probably. Well, I think maybe a little
maybe a little bit before.
Yeah. Well, they might have been playing together at that point, but I think Judas Priest's first album, I want to say it was '76, so it was a couple years after this, and then because of British Steel, I don't know. He'll throw the date right here for that. But no, I get all the references. I get all of the influences. I understand all of that. I just don't think this is a particularly well-directed film. And that is not a knock on De Palma. This is obviously him trying something that he's never done before and him not landing it. And that's fine. I don't hate Brian De Palma. I hate 80s Brian De Palma, where he starts off and he sets up all this interesting shit and then he just gets bored with it like 3/4 of the way through it and then just throws together an ending. That's what I can't stand about Brian De Palma films, is that they always end so poorly.
Yeah.
And this actually had a strong ending, I'll give it that.
Just about every one of his films are flawed, and this is absolutely is a flawed film. But I love all the flaws. It's very charming for me. I fucking love this movie. It's, you know, I'm not gonna apologize for it. It is what it is. It's like you and Time Cop.
Yes.
So I mean,
so you're saying this is a 25?
You know what? It actually probably would score fairly well with me. Probably the low 20s.
So fair enough. Fair.
I get it. Because I love the style of it. I love the story of it, and for me, it's just a ton of fun.
You'll know within 10 minutes of starting this movie if this is your bag or not.
Yeah.
And if it is, that's great. And you know what? Enjoy it. More power to you. If it's not, fast forward to where Beef shows up when they fly him in on the airplane in a coffin and stand him up for the press release and watch that 20-minute block and you're good. You've got everything out of this you're going to get, and that's all you need.
So here's the thing. So are you a Rocky Horror fan or not? Or are you kind of a casual fan?
I'm familiar with it. I'm not like, you know, I know some of the songs and all that.
Because I didn't know if you liked it or not. Because I think if you like Rocky Horror, you'll like this movie. I think if you don't like Rocky Horror, then don't bother.
Rocky Horror is funnier. Genuinely
it's
funnier.
Funny. No, this is darker. This is a dark, scathing movie.
Yes.
Where, you know, Rocky Horror is fun and campy.
Well, I was going to say, that's the whole thing. Rocky Horror is fun and campy. This is pretentious. Like I said, it's so, like, it's dealing with all these interesting ideas, but it's handling them in such a holier-than-thou attitude. And you don't get that from Rocky Horror. Rocky Horror is just in your face, you know what? F***ing is fun. Woohoo! So, this could have used a bit more of some humor.
It's hilarious in a very dark
cutting sort of way.
Yeah.
But
so, not a recommend for you.
I'm just gonna say, it's not for me personally. No, I can see the appeal of this, but it's not It's not my bag. But it's definitely worth a watch one time as a film student sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
it's absolutely recommend for me. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to buy this movie. I'm legit going to buy this movie. I actually bought 2 T-shirts and a mug because I enjoy this movie that much. So
wow.
There you have it.
Anything else?
No, we'll see you guys the next time.